Alright, timestamp. Happy Halloween, October 31st. That was awful, I'm so sorry. October 31st, 2024, it's about 8 o'clock p.m. I'm gonna be heading to bed here pretty soon. I'm not too worried about trick-or-treaters because we never get them on our street anymore. We had a guy down the street who's a really good guy. The front of his house, well, his yard, whatnot, he dressed it up big every year, always a different theme, alien crash, like spooky gray aliens. Did a full-on like mausoleum one year, just did a cornfield one time with the scary scarecrows and stuff like that. Plane. That's loud for me. I'm curious how that picks up in the mic. Game on. But he died a couple years ago. He was kind of a destination for a lot of people. There were a lot of people that would actually come to this block just to see what he did this year, like local fame kind of thing. But since he's been gone, not so much. A dude that loved Halloween as much as we do. Just not doing a lot of celebrating this year. You understand. Health-wise, I feel okay. I know I'm probably smoking 2 to 3 a day lately, and I'm supposed to be going the other direction. Just under a little more stress than I prefer. I don't really have financial worries per se. Tight, but we haven't, we've been able to pay bills and we have food. But just the other side of things. My mom is still in the hospital. This is actually Aldi brand breakfast, or no, donut shop blend. It's the last from the pot. I'm filtering water right now. And I will make a new pot of something. I don't know. Oh, look in the cabinet. Got like 30 flavors up there. We'll see what jumps out at me. But all the Aldi house brands have been pretty good. I'm gonna step on Mr. Hex. But yeah, health-wise, I feel fine. No panic attacks, but I do feel anxious just because of, life, the universe, and everything. Not the book. I love the book, but it's actually kind of a tie between that and the original Hitchhiker as far as which ones I like the most from the series. It's a tough choice. I mean, restaurant's still good, and So Long is so good, but yeah, I think probably, I don't know, because Hitchhiker started it all, and there's just some funny shite in that. I don't know, that's a tough one. But anyway, my mom is still in the hospital, and she's asking my advice more and more, which, twofold. One, it's nice to know that she values my wisdom, and two, it makes me think that she's having a harder time making decisions from a cognitive standpoint. So she's, reaching out to someone that she trusts to answer questions for her, kind of thing. I know she's at least in the mild category. Dad, if you've been watching, Dad is beating her bad on that one. He's got a couple laps on her, But yeah, no. Again, if you've been watching every video, share, like, subscribe. Short, controlled bursts. Having flashbacks over here. So, the other night, 4 nights ago, 5 nights ago, I don't know, it's all a blur. She got taken to the hospital. She had pretty much gone unconscious. She had 20 blood ox, and her heart was doing merengue, I don't know, something like that, and we're not even Spanish. So they've done x-rays, and according to what she said, and I am choosing my words carefully because, quite frankly, my mom, she doesn't always tell us everything, which, yeah, she's an 84-year-old woman. It's kind of troublesome when you have to fill in the blanks and make guesses and stuff. Pardon. I mean, she leaves good clues behind, so to speak, but since we're your advocates, maybe be a little bit more specific and concise. You know, I understand you want your privacy, but if we're trying to keep you alive, certain aspects of that privacy kind of go out the window. Otherwise, we can't do our jobs. But they want to send her home with a CPAP, and I guess a BiPAP or a BPAP, which I'm confused by. I guess one is you use it overnight, and one you like carry with you and wear throughout the daytime or whatnot. Learning a few new things here and there. Maybe I'm not learning it because I don't know what I'm talking about. So maybe learning is a strong word. But they don't have any of the gear ready for her. They want to send her home with it. And she asked me if she should go ahead and try and get discharged, and I told her, no, absolutely not. And this may sound like I'm being snarky or mean. That's not the case. If my dad is being beaten by a cell phone, a house phone, the next time her blood ox goes down to 20, what happens if the phone wins? You know what I mean? There's no help coming. You're dead on the carpet. So I said, really, it's best, let's not get you home until we know you have that equipment. Let's take away the possibility for an ugly plot twist. And she said, you know, that actually makes sense. Well, yeah, I think you're right. I'm like, I know I'm right on this one. But I appreciate the fact you actually are asking my opinion, because we've kind of been sidelined a lot, Pix and me, and it's like we're, of the choices you have for advice, Ron is a good choice. He's a very seasoned veteran. My parents are very active in the American Legion. He's one of the coordinators for their local chapter, what have you. He's a good man. Other than him, and if you don't want him making decisions for you, we're it. You know, you could have Dad make decisions for you, but, and I know again this is going to sound snarky, you're putting your fate in the hands of a man who's being beaten by a cordless phone. So maybe there are better options. Now, on that front, my mom is actually not only open to the idea, but wants me to start the process of getting my dad taken care of. You never imagine you're going to be in this position until you're in this position. But she wants me to coordinate with Brian, who knows a lot about these kind of things, and Ron, who knows a lot about these kind of things, and get with my dad's doctor and make sure that the doctor has all the correct symptoms so we can get the diagnosis corrected, which again, I'm pretty sure my mom withheld information, so he may listen to me and then want to do follow-up with my mom, and I nicely let her know he'll probably take my call. He's kind of expecting, I think, to converse with me in some way, shape, or form, but he may want to verify that my information is correct and yours wasn't. And she said she was open to it, which is good. I have no idea what kind of excuse she's going to come up with where the doctor's concerned, but just, eat the crow and tell him you lied. Because I do plan on letting him know that my mom has been kind of shielding my dad, trying to keep his reputation safe, and he'll probably be able to do the math on that. So I am pushing her under the bus in that respect. Hopefully he'll understand and there won't be any, bad blood between anyone. But the time for protecting my dad, protecting, his legacy, that ship sailed. You know what I mean? That ship sailed. We gotta... The way we preserve his legacy is by making sure he doesn't cause any damage before we get him isolated. I guess would be the way to put it. And we need to do that. Which... I knew this day might come. But... making those kind of phone calls, it's just... There's an ugly reality to it. What'd you do today, Marcus? Oh, I called around and made inquiries because we're going to put my dad in a home. Oh, you're a thoughtful kid. I talked to him on the phone for probably about 10 minutes last night. I just got off the phone with my mom tonight, but I talked to my dad about 10 minutes last night. And if I mentioned this already, I apologize. But I guess he had left a note for the burglar. And in the note he said, "I'm a Vietnam vet. If I catch you on my property, I will shoot you." And according to him, the burglar left him a note on the bottom of the page, which my dad couldn't read. It was kind of scrawl, which, between you and me, makes me wonder if there's some kind of... because I know with Alzheimer's there is kind of a personality shift. I'm wondering if he actually has kind of a Jekyll and Hyde thing going on, where maybe he used his left hand, the other personality wrote with the left hand or something to keep the other personality from recognizing that it was his own handwriting. I don't know. I know I'm thinking maybe a little strange, but my dad, and he told me this story like twice within a 10-minute period, and another story that he repeated 3 times within that 10-minute period. And I keep reflecting back on what Linda said about the whole, it is what it is, and I know what it is. My dad's starting to have those communication breakdowns, which they become more severe and obvious in severe stage. And I feel like my dad's sticking his toe in that. But his obsessive paranoia is just off the chain. According to him, the burglar is breaking in every day. Me, if I were a thief, and mind you, I have played a multi-class thief a lot. Usually, these days, I'm usually a bard, but I've played a lot of, thief, magic user. Played a cleric thief one time. That was interesting. And I did have a gnome thief illusionist that I ran for years. He was a lot of fun. Besides that, if I knew that I was breaking into the place owned by a crazy old man veteran, I don't think I'd break into their place every day for like 3 years straight. You know what I mean? That. Am I a little crazy sometimes? Yeah. Do I have a death wish? No. I really don't know that many people in real life that do. And to do that, this person would have to have a death wish. Because honestly, he might beat my dad in a fight, but if my dad gets the drop on him, it's over, kiddo. He's gonna shoot you, stab you, throw you in a moat with alligators, something, My dad, even in his condition, is at least clever. And he's a scrapper, so roll the dice and take your chances. And I know it's my dad's brain. Has the backyard been intruded upon again? Yes. I've seen areas where the plastic lattice fence was snapped from the outside where somebody had grabbed it and pulled, climbing into the backyard. And I have seen some boot prints in the mud after a rain. Nobody in my family wears cowboy boots. Yeah, we're in the South. We're not a cowboy boot family. So somebody has been back there, somebody has intruded. But the notion that this person is like a ninja locksmith, no. Yeah, my dad doesn't have anything that cool worth that kind of risk. No way. Nope. I don't buy it. The odds are too good at getting shot or stabbed or both. There's no thief that stupid. Hi, Hex. So, the big discussion is my mom going too? Now, right now, that's kind of a coin toss. Because I'm not sure these are some of the questions I've got to ask. I'm not sure if we get him into a facility, because it's got to be one that has, good review on Yelp, so to speak. It needs to be secure, but it also needs to be compassionate. We're not willing to compromise on either thing. They need to take care of him as though he were, a respected member of the military, which he is. And they also need to make sure that, being that he is MacGyver and James Bond rolled into one, he's in his 80s, so kind of more the Sean Connery version, without the cool accent, that he can't get out because if he feels that he's been imprisoned or has any wild notions like that, he's going to try. And y'all better be ready for that, because he is a clever man. And if his brain is broken, which we know it kind of is, there's no telling what he's going to come up with. And he might hurt some people. I don't know. And Pix brought up a good point that if she doesn't go with him, he might break out trying to find her. Maybe he would. I don't know. It's so hard to predict what he might do. There's certain categories of things that I absolutely think he'll do, and then there are other things that he's done over the past 2 years that have absolutely blown my mind, and not in good ways. So, I don't know. But between his brain and her body, and Pix also brought up the point that because she does kind of have the effect of calming him down, just in her very presence. They've been together so long that her being there with him would probably be better for his mental health, which is a pretty valid point. After the 6 months that she spent in the hospital last year, and again, it wasn't any one specific hospital, it was this hospital for 3 weeks, and then rehab for 2 weeks, learning how to walk again. Then we're back to this hospital because something went wrong, and over here to this hospital, this special clinic, and then to rehab again. But it was like 5.5, 6 months of just going from facility to facility. When we finally did get her out, that was when she said she never wanted to go back again, that she'd rather just die in her own home. So, and I guess Dad apologized to her the other night when she was getting loaded into the ambulance. He apologized and said, "I'm sorry I had to call. I couldn't not call because you were going to die." He said, "I hope you're not mad." It's actually kind of sweet, But, I think it would be good for him and for her if they went in together. But at the same time, it would kind of mean imprisonment for my mom, too. We talked about it, like grown-ups on the phone tonight. She's thinking about it. Funny, too, because she's like, there are things I need to do at the house. And it's like, okay, what water the petunias? What do you need to do that's so important? She's like, well, I have to pay the bills. I'm the one that does that. I have to write the checks and pay the bills. And I'm like, Mom, you realize that I was handling all that when you were in the hospital, right? And she's like, well, yeah, but, I had to sign the checks. You wrote the checks out, but I signed them and we got them in the mail. I'm like, the only thing that you did there was sign the checks. And if during the process of us setting this up, you make sure that I'm on the books and authorized, you won't even have to sign the checks. I can just manage it from the shadows. And she was like, oh yeah, I guess that's true. Okay, we should think about this. It's like, you don't need to be home just to write checks. I can manage this. I have managed more difficult and stranger in my lifetime. Managing your books, especially, and this is going to sound snarky, but I'm fed up with this part of it because Mom has humored him for like 2 years, and I'm just looking at it going, number one, incredibly wasteful, and number two, you're supporting his paranoid delusion. We need to cut this crap out. But paying the bills becomes a lot easier when my dad isn't going to Lowe's every other day of the week and buying $500 in new locks because the burglar has beaten all the other locks. I'm going to get new locks, or I have to replace the ones that the burglar burned off. Which, we've talked about this. That never happened. That was you, Dad. You did it yesterday, you just don't remember. So, the bills become a lot easier to deal with when Dad's not out buying stupid crap. it's both barrels of honesty right there, but it's true. It's just a matter of paying the bills. Ta-da! Because my dad has 100% compensation because of his exposure to Agent Orange. True story. I didn't even know that until a couple years ago. So if we're doing this through the VA, which is the smart thing to do because 100% compensation, there's no outside bills. It's just household bills. I can write 3 or 4 checks a month. I won't be writing checks. I'll be doing it more 21st century, But for the sake of conversation, we'll call it writing checks because that's what my mom is comfortable with and likes. I know a couple other old timers that don't understand that the world works without people writing checks. It's adorable and sad all at the same time. If you don't write checks, how do you get anything done? Plastic? Electronic? Oh, no, I want to write it down. Okay. Alright. Cool. Have fun. Having done cashier work, one thing I do have to share on this subject because it tickles me is I've seen over the past, however many years, at least a dozen seniors who get mildly freaked out when they write a check and through the checkout process it gets processed electronically and you hand them the voided check back. It's funny to me just because sometimes they're like, well, no, this is a check, you need this. And it's like, it's already done. We already processed the check, cashed it, and I'm just giving it back to you as like a receipt. I don't need to give it to the bank because it's already been done electronically. And I've had a few of them that were like, well, then why don't I just use a card? To which my internal response is, because you haven't joined this century yet. But you could have, No one's stopping you from doing that. You're the one that's stuck on this. Just think in 10, 20 years when all those folks have died off, not trying to sound like morbid or, whatever. Your basic check writing, personal check writing might actually go away. Because there won't be anyone else out there that'll be addicted to it. You might still have like cashier's checks and bank checks and things like that for big amounts coming from a financial institution to take care of something major. But personal checks may become very passé. I don't know. Hopefully I'm around to, witness that. I know my parents won't be. That's part of the thing. I don't know. I'm in a very, very strange place. November is going to be interesting. And the bright side is both Brian and Ron, they're not as old as my parents, but they are older than me. They've both dealt with veterans of all slices. And I know Brian has worked with crisis veterans and Ron, what's his name? Ron. Forgetting the names that I've selected for these people. Lonnie. John. No, I was calling him Ron, I think. Yeah. Ron has been with the Legion for a while. He's known hundreds of vets, and he knows hundreds of vets around the state. I'm certain that he's dealt with this kind of thing before. And he actually helped me out on this one quite a bit. I don't even know if he realizes it. But I guess my mom was talking to Ron. I have to write this down one of these times, like a cheat sheet. What am I calling this person? Their real name is Mike, but I'm calling them Leonard, whatever. I guess she had talked to Ron earlier today, And Ron said we should really get your son involved in this because he's with it and he's engaged and he cares. He should be involved in this procedure, this process, because you're going to want him involved and his heart's in the right place. That's what my mom told me. He said, which that thank you to the universe on that one. Thank you. Because I've been trying to do the right thing and I keep getting sidelined. So it's nice that someone else is out there going, that's the guy you want to talk to. He's the guy. Because I am the guy. Don't shut me out. I'm trying out. Yeah, we actually had some financial discussions and stuff tonight. He's letting me know, which some of this, a lot of it I already knew. But she's like, Leonardo's paid off. So if we do some of this stuff, you might want to move your family there and sell your property. I'm like, full disclosure, Pix and I had already talked about that. Not the idea of putting you guys in a home. Again, that wasn't what we were thinking, planning. We know that there's health issues. So we had the discussion probably a year and a half, 2 years ago when some of these shenanigans began. What would we do if? And, we would start the process of trying to, I left this part out when I was talking to my mom because she gets weird about her precious things that she hasn't done anything with in 60 years. We would start the process of de-hoarding their place because, they're lifelong hoarders and they're in their 80s. So I know that there is some stuff of value there, and there's also a lot of crap. Not literally, although I'm not sure how they're handling the dogs they have. They have a couple little Chihuahuas. They're actually cute. They're little shaggy Audubons. It's cute. They're cute. But the de-hoarding process, it's going to be a year of my life, maybe 2. Just because it's not a small property and they have stuff everywhere. And I want to make sure and, not throw the baby out with the wash. But, I told her, I'm like, well, because your house is in better shape and it has more room. That was kind of what we had talked about, was ditching George and, getting Leonardo ready to live in for us. She was like, no, that's good. That's smart. You should do that. She's like, it's paid for. The mortgage is paid off. I'm like, right, we know that. We're real close. We're only a couple years away from having this one paid off too. And if something happens to where something happens, we'd pay this one off immediately just so it wouldn't be hanging over our heads while we do all the stuff we're going to need to do, because we won't be bored. But yeah, it's so weird because I don't know if anybody out there has been through this before, but you kind of feel dirty, and at the same time you're just being practical too. You're like, when my parents die, this is what it's like. Well, that makes me feel and sound like I'm some kind of supervillain, but at the same time, my mom and my dad both each had 2 strokes last year. My dad spent about 2 months in the hospital off and on, maybe 3. My mom spent 6 months in the hospital. My dad has Alzheimer's, moderate stage going into severe. My mom is in mild Alzheimer's, maybe Lewy body. We've talked about this. I'm not sure which one. It's one of those 2 though. I really hope it's not Lewy body, because the end game on that. Cause I know 2 people that have family members that went through it, and they both have told me that it was just excruciating. For one, it was his mom, and the other, I think it was his uncle. I'd rather not anyone go through that, much less my own mom, So, Alzheimer's is awful enough. You know, I can vouch for that. It's been a rough couple of years. It's a difficult thing to watch somebody who is brilliant become a toddler. You know, we're not even in the final stages, and my dad is already he's not who he was. And we can't have him back. You know what I mean? He's that man is gone forever. Which really, really sucks, and it's horrible to hear out loud. But it doesn't make it any less true. So, I'm sure I've brightened your day with this story. But yeah, that's where we are. She wants me to get the wheels rolling because Dad's going into a home. You know, a facility, whatnot. I'm frankly, a little blown away at her frankness and at her resolve on the matter, because Pix and I thought that was a good idea for at least months. And I'm a little relieved, I guess, because, and something still horrible could go sideways between, now and implementation. But, I've used this analogy before. I was afraid it was going to go a lot longer to where my dad, shot the hypothetical Girl Scout, and that's what made my mom go, oh, maybe we should do something, after it was already really too late. So the fact that we're actually having that discussion and she wants me to take the lead and get that going, that's progress. So, yeah. I got a bunch of phone calls and texts to make tomorrow. Probably a couple emails to write too. And it's Pixie's birthday. And we're doing a shindig on Saturday, so we got some errands to run and a bunch of phone calls to make tomorrow to get ready for the shindig and to start this in motion. While it's a weekday, not the weekend, we can't get a hold of anybody. So, cool, right? Anyway, I'm sure I've gone long again. I apologize for that. Oh yeah, I've gone real long. Alright, I'm gonna sign off. Make it a great day.